June 12th, 1962. A guard walks down a cell block on a tiny island in the middle of San Francisco Bay, doing a routine morning bed check. Nothing unusual until he gets to 3 specific cells. The men are lying there, asleep, just like every other morning. Except they're not men. They're fake heads, made of plaster, painted skin tone, with real human hair glued on, good enough to fool armed guards in the middle of the night. The real inmates are gone. This is Alcatraz, the prison the US government built specifically because it was supposed to be escape-proof. Freezing water, brutal currents, 1.5 miles of open bay separating the cell block from anywhere a person could actually reach, and somehow 3 men just walked out. Here's the twist, though. Over 60 years later, nobody actually knows if they made it. No bodies were ever found. The FBI officially closed the case, ruling all 3 men drowned. But as recently as last year, the President of the United States stood in the Oval Office and said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that nobody has ever successfully escaped Alcatraz, which, if you ask historians, family members, and even the Discovery Channel, is not exactly settled. So, did they drown in that bay, or are 3 men who'd be in their 90s by now still out there somewhere? Let's break down exactly what happened that night. To understand the escape, you got to understand the guys who pulled it off. Frank Morris landed at Alcatraz in January of 1960. He wasn't your average criminal. The guy had a genuinely high IQ, and he'd already tried to escape multiple other prisons before he ever got sent to The Rock. That's actually part of why he ended up there. Alcatraz wasn't just for dangerous criminals, it was for the ones other prisons couldn't hold on to. Later that same year, a guy named John Anglin got transferred in. Then, in early 1961, his brother Clarence joined him. Turns out all 3 of these guys already knew each other from doing time together at other prisons. When they landed in adjoining cells at Alcatraz, it wasn't exactly a coincidence how things played out from there. They started talking, planning, and eventually a 4th guy, Alan West, got pulled into the plan too. 6 months of planning, 3 o'clock. This wasn't some spur-of-the-moment jailbreak. These guys spent close to 6 months methodically building their escape, piece by piece, right under the guards' noses. Each cell had a small ventilation grill in the back wall, about 8 inches of solid concrete. Using tools they'd basically built themselves out of stolen spoons, they slowly, painstakingly widened those openings night after night, hiding their progress behind cardboard and paint so it wouldn't get noticed during inspections. Behind those walls was an unguarded utility corridor that ran the length of the cell block, and from there, a path up to the roof. While they were working on the walls, they were also secretly building the tools they'd need to survive the water. Over 50 stolen raincoats got turned into a makeshift raft and inflatable life vests, all glued and stitched together using tools scavenged from work details around the prison. And here's the detail that still gets people to this day. To buy themselves time, they built dummy heads to leave behind in their beds. Papier-mâché, flesh-toned paint, and real human hair pulled from the prison barbershop floor. Good enough, in the middle of the night, under dim lighting, to fool a guard doing a quick visual head count. June 11th, 1962. Nighttime. Morris and John and Clarence Anglin put their dummy heads in their beds, squeezed through the openings they'd carved out over 6 months, and made their way through the utility corridor. Alan West, the 4th guy, wasn't so lucky. He'd resealed his own wall opening with cement to avoid detection during the planning phase, and on the actual night of the escape, he couldn't get it to budge in time. The other three didn't wait for him. Morris and the Anglin brothers climbed up through a ventilation shaft, made it out onto the roof of the cell block, climbed down using a makeshift pipe, and made their way to the shoreline. From there, they launched their raincoat raft into San Francisco Bay in the dark, in freezing water, with currents strong enough to sweep a person miles off course, in minutes. And that's the last confirmed sighting of Frank Morris, John Anglin, or Clarence Anglin. Ever. The Manhunt, 7:15. By morning, the whole island was in lockdown. Word went out to state and federal authorities, and even the military got looped in on the search. Investigators found pieces of their gear scattered around the bay in the days that followed, fragments of the raft, part of a paddle, personal items, some of it recovered near Angel Island, a small island north of Alcatraz. That physical evidence became the foundation for the FBI's official theory, that the makeshift raft failed in the rough currents, and all three men drowned before ever reaching shore. In 1979, the FBI officially closed the case. Conclusion: presumed dead. But officially closing a case and actually knowing what happened turned out to be two very different things. The case for survival, 9 o'clock. Here's where this story stops being a simple "they drowned" narrative. In 2003, the show Mythbusters decided to test the theory directly. They built a raft using the same materials and methods the inmates would have had access to, launched it from Alcatraz under similar conditions, and instead of drifting north toward Angel Island like investigators assumed, the current pulled it west, toward the Golden Gate Bridge. They made it to land. Their conclusion: surviving that swim wasn't just possible, it was realistic. A decade after that, researchers running computer models of the bay's currents came to a similar conclusion. If the men had left the island within a certain window that night, they very likely could have reached the shore near the Golden Gate area alive. Then, in 2018, things got even stranger. A letter surfaced that had reportedly been sent to San Francisco police back in 2013, claiming to be from John Anglin himself. The letter said all three of them survived that night, that Frank Morris and Clarence Anglin had since passed away in 2005 and 2008, and that the writer, now old and dealing with cancer, was the last one left. The FBI ran forensic tests on it, handwriting analysis, fingerprints, DNA. The results came back inconclusive, not confirmed, but not ruled out either. And the U.S. Marshals Service has never actually closed their own investigation. They've released updated age-progressed images of all three men over the years, stating plainly that regardless of how much time passes, they're still looking.